Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, your host, as always, Andrew O'Hara. Joining me this week, surprise special guest, it is Jen Tuohy. How you doing?
Hi, Andrew. I'm very good, thanks. Really happy to be here. It's been a while, but I had to come for the chickens.
Right? We are going to have the most eclectic episode of HomeKit Insider that we have had in ages. We're going to talk about lawsuits because it's just like the hot buzz in the space right now. We're going to talk about charging stuff a little bit, not too much. We're going to talk about chickens and all of that smart things. And then we have regular news for the week that I guess we should talk about. So it's going to be a crazy episode.
Happy to be part of it.
Well, let's talk about just the hot goss that's been going on that came out like Friday or Thursday night, Friday morning or whatever, but not really specifically related to Apple, but it's just so interesting that we had to talk about it for 2 seconds. Apple is suing Jon Prosser for all of their iOS 26 leaks, which is kind of crazy.
Well, it is related to Apple, but not Apple Home.
True.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not something that Apple's ever done before. My institutional knowledge doesn't go back super far, but I don't know even when the whole phone thing happened, when like someone left the phone in the bar.
Right, Gizmodo situation.
That was it, yeah. But this seems to be like they've really identified. It's beyond just a news organization or a blogger getting information and leaking it. It's like corporate secrets they're kind of getting into here, which is a whole level above, I think. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like this could be quite bad for Jon Prosser.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole bunch of things. I mean, like you said, we're not lawyers. Maybe bird law we're pretty versed in, but as far as corporate law and litigation, not so much. But I think what stood out was that they were saying it was because Prosser was claiming to pay or offer up compensation for getting access to this internal development device to show him that. So I think that it's like that paying
corporate secrets.
It's
selling corporate secrets, buying corporate secrets. Yeah.
Yes. And on top of that, this is the part as the fanboy in me a little bit. In their lawsuit, they say, iOS 26 is already out there, but there was a lot of other unreleased UI and features on that phone that we don't want them to leak. And that would be like, oh, tell me more about those. Like that's the part that I want to hear about now.
Yeah.
So that got me excited. I
guess we should probably just briefly say what did he do?
True.
He got a phone. Well, we don't know exactly what he did. He's actually saying this is not. His statement so far has been, this is not how I recall it happened, something along those lines. So obviously we're going to hear more, but something to do with having he had a friend who worked at Apple and had a development phone that they managed to get access to and communicate with. I think FaceTime, they had like a FaceTime call. And this was how the leaks sort of emerged, because someone recognized the apartment in the FaceTime call. I don't know. Am I getting this right? But it was all very juicy.
There's a lot of players here. So I guess Prosser has his friend, and then his friend lived with or knew this Lipnick, whatever, who worked at Apple and had that development. He was an iOS engineer. So that guy used, I assume, Find My. I also find it interesting that like the youth these days, they all just use Find My and stuff to know where each other is all the time, so that way they can just meet up like casually. So I think that's what, something going on here. They had that guy's location data, so they knew when he was away from the apartment and how long he would be. Then he got his iOS. He got his iOS passcode for the development device, maybe looking over his shoulder or something while they're sitting in the living room. But that guy got the passcode for the device. When they saw him leave and knew he was far enough away, Prosser's friend FaceTimed him and showed him the device, which Prosser screen recorded, and then used that to create his mock-ups of iOS 26.
Or iOS 19 at the time, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly, or iOS 19. So it seems complicated, but then, like you said, Prosser disputed that, and then he shared, so far, one screenshot where he showed his own conversation of somebody sending him iOS 26 basically, and he's like, oh my god, is this real? And he's like, yeah, you have to believe me, all my other data has been true. And he's like, okay, I'm trusting you on this. And that's kind of how Prosser is claiming things happened.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's an interesting move, though, that Apple's doing this. It's kind of taking a hard stance, which I think would probably make some of the other people in this space whose main kind of job is focused around leaks. This is like the first time that Apple has done something like this, so it may give other people whose main focus is leaks from Apple some pause for thought. But as I mentioned, this does seem to have a sort of the monetary aspect seems to sort of have moved this up to kind of like corporate espionage level.
On top of that, like Apple has like plenty of, kind of evidence, or at least what they believe is evidence, because they have the original email where someone recognized the employee's apartment. And then when the employee was confronted or whatever, they provided a voice memo or voice note that the middleman had sent to him apologizing for everything that had happened and, claiming that it was all Prosser's idea. And then that guy provided it to Apple. So now Apple has like that voice memo as well as like the original email kind of laying out what happened. So they have like evidence.
Yeah.
More so than I think your typical leak.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
It will be interesting to follow. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, we are getting close to the end of June, right? Or July. We are halfway through the month.
Yeah.
I can't keep anything straight anymore. My mind is mush. It's kind of like a soft oatmeal-y paste at the moment.
I feel the same.
But
Vacation
we
mode.
should be getting the iOS. We need it.
We need vacations.
But we should be getting the beta, the public beta of iOS 26 and the rest of Apple software very soon. Apple says like those come out in July. We're halfway through July. We're more than halfway through the July. So I wanted to just go over these quickly as a refresher of the big new changes coming for HomeKit or Apple Home with these updates. I say big.
I was going to say
with
big, really? I mean,
they
big?
exist.
New, some small
new
changes. I haven't even tried. I don't do the developer betas, so I'm looking forward to trying the public beta when it comes out, but I'm not that. I mean, we don't even have a HomePod one yet, do we?
Yeah.
I thought, the newest one hasn't come out yet. The third. What are we on? 4 or 5 of 26?
I don't even know. I think we're at 3. I think we're at 3.
Okay.
3
so
betas.
4, we may be getting a 4 or not. We don't. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knows?
Because they normally do a couple more developer after the public, right? And then the final. Is that how
Correct.
it goes?
My guess is we're going to get a developer beta early this week, and then public beta likely to follow that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's Apple's traditional cadence, unless it's next week. It could be next week as well, but Apple said July. So it's either this week or next week. But we'll get one more developer beta. Then the following day, we will get the public beta. So my guess is the public beta will arrive after this next developer beta, after beta 4 of iOS 26.
And what have you enjoyed most so far about the new?
I mean,
is there anything?
Of the new stuff in general, I do like the new UI a lot.
Really?
Like, I don't want them to tone it down too much. I like it. It just, there's so many like little touches to it that I really like. I like the new lock screens a lot with like the moving time is really cool. The way that it can like kind of move around stuff. Like there are little things like that. The games app is pretty cool. I've been living in that a lot lately because I was like testing out the new Razer Kishi controller. I also did like a deep dive on the games app, and I just like mobile games and stuff. I want to see like actual games and not like Angry Birds. I want to see more Assassin's Creed type games come to iPhone and iPad.
How's the
really
new
pushing
UI
that stuff
on the Home app? It hasn't really done much, just gone translucent.
You have the new bar at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's like the change.
Yeah.
Which is like happens automatically if you were using Apple's like native frameworks for like tap bar. It updates to the new liquid glass morphing one. It looks really good, but otherwise it's the same Home app. There was one small UI change, which is nice, is that when you have like an accessory that has multiple like accessories or sensors within it, like maybe like a multi-sensor or something, and you pinned it to your favorites, before it would pin everything.
Yes. So you
now
have, like,
with iOS 26,
with the Hue
it's just the
motion
ones that
sensor,
you want.
there's like 6 things it can do, and they would all be there. Well, that's a nice way of cleaning up the UI, making it a little easier to navigate and just see what you need rather than all the extra data you can get.
Yeah. We also have new time-based automations for locks, I believe. Like you can actually include it on a time to do that.
That's
as long as it doesn't
exciting.
get reverted.
Well, and isn't there also now you don't need to do the authentication anymore? You don't have to approve on a watch or a phone, which was always such a friction point. I know there were workarounds, like if you added a smart plug, you could kind of get it to sort of trick it. But now Apple trusts that you know when you actually do want your door to be unlocked rather than gatekeeping for you. So that is a big step up. I mean, I know I've tested a lot of door locks, and auto unlock is kind of the new feature. And I'm guessing one of the reasons they've added this is because of the coming of Alero and UWB unlocking, which is the auto unlock based on your phone as opposed to just using GPS and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth signals, which is how auto unlocking works on several door locks today. And then Apple has its own feature, which is geofencing, which is useless for me. I don't know if you have much luck with that, but I have never found that to work for locks or any kind of feature in my house. I think I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but like lying in bed one night and my phone tells me you've come home, and turned all the lights on. So anyway, I'm excited for this. I think it will make using locks in Apple Home a lot smoother, and also that auto unlock function. I've tested a number recently with auto unlock features, and I'd always found them pretty poor for the same reasons. Like, not accuracy is difficult with those 3 radios all working together, and I'm excited for UWB. But I did just test the new key lock, which has auto unlock, and the new quick set lock, which has Matter and over Thread and has its own auto unlock feature, although you can't use that with Thread, you have to use that with Wi-Fi, and it was so much better. So like this feature is getting better, and when it works, it's great. It's so nice not to have to worry about, even tapping your phone or your watch or your finger or code. You just walk up and it's unlocked, and that's how it should work. And this is what August, when this technology first came out with the original August lock, that was the promise, but it's always been a little flaky. So I'm excited to see this getting easier to use, and I think this is probably why this feature why they've made it easier in iOS 26. So I can't wait to try this.
I think it makes sense. Well, we got widgets in CarPlay now, so you can have your home widgets show up in CarPlay or any third-party home apps. So that's pretty useful. I like the idea of leaving in the car and having a widget view that shows hey, these things are left unlocked or these things are left open or something. Because I feel like that would be really useful to know how much stuff is left open or unlocked as I'm leaving the house, that I could take action and to correct it if it's not something that I have automatically happening. So that is new. We have the multi-device accessory we talked about. No response now becomes just issues, which is a little bit better. So it could be any number of issues, including not responding. And then we have the Energy Kit framework, which I do think is pretty cool, even if it will largely do nothing for quite a while.
But it's laying the framework. That's what's so exciting about it. And that is, because they didn't even announce this, really. I mean, well, there was a link in a presentation in WWDC, like one of the smaller presentations, but all about how developers could tap into this energy kit. And it didn't really talk a lot about Apple Home either, but you can see how this framework being there, it's like HomeKit, but energy kit. So the connection that developers could start to make if and when Apple decides it wants to step more into the home energy management system, which we're seeing, like Samsung already does it with smart things. Alexa has it a little bit. We've got a lot of companies coming out with their own. I just wrote a piece this week on The Verge about EcoFlow, which has just launched its new smart home panel, electrical panel, so with home battery backups and an inverter, and it uses a home energy management system. Theirs is called Oasis, which is like an AI-powered home energy management system that can tap into any connected devices, including Apple Home devices, because it works through Matter. It works with Matter, and manage the energy in your use in your home. And this is where AI and the smart home is going to be really interesting, because this is the type of busy work that, if you've ever tried managing the energy use of your home, even if just getting everything online is the first hurdle. But once you've got every device reading or sending its energy use to some kind of an app, then actually managing it and getting it to work and getting it to adjust at the right time when, say, your prices are lower, if you're on time of use rates, or when your solar is running, if you have solar panels. It's a lot of work. It's hard to do. And having like an AI tool that can kind of manage all of that for you is what EcoFlow is doing with its Oasis. It's also what Samsung's doing with its Energy AI feature. It may be a while for Apple to do it, but I feel like it's in its future. It really fits with its whole ethos and messaging around energy use and protecting the environment and being environmentally conscious. Yeah. So I think we'll see this, but we might be talking about 2030 if we're lucky.
Okay, well, we mentioned power. Let's jump to the next topic, which we'll hit this briefly because I know sometimes people don't like if I linger on Qi and MagSafe charging too much, but I am too excited to talk about Qi 2.2 is coming, Jen. This is the new version of Qi Wireless, and I think I have a little bit of information that I have not seen reported elsewhere. I have an article that I'm still writing, but basically, we now know Qi 2.2 is official. Devices have been in production and everything for a while now, and we should see our first devices hitting store shelves very soon. But the two pieces of information I thought were interesting. One was faster charging, right? Qi 2.2 is going to be 25 watts of fast charging, essentially like Apple's own MagSafe puck that it released already that offers 25 watts with the iPhone 16 series. But I've heard from manufacturers that right now, the third-party Qi 2.2 devices are backwards compatible with the iPhone 16 series, offering up to 25 watts. I've heard some people saying it was only going to be supported on iPhone 17. I think, from what I've heard, Apple will certify iPhone 16 series with Qi 2.2 for 25 watts of charging through third-party chargers, and the iPhone 17 will be the same. So I'm excited to have whole new pile of faster third-party charging stands. I mean, 25 watts is fantastic. It's really nice.
Yeah, that'll make a big difference. I mean, I've still got some old... Is it 7.5 was the original?
Oh my gosh, Jen.
And when you put it down, well, like this, I have like the SwitchBot air purifier table that I was testing, and I think it's is like that as well. Like
it's probably basic Qi.
Yeah.
So your hope is 7.5 if you're lucky.
Yeah, and it's like you could leave it there for the day, and it might be 50% if you're lucky. So yes, it's faster. I'm excited for. I'm not as up on all the key charging. Qi. I say key because of the kitchen. There's the kitchen wireless charging. Yeah,
that's their kitchen version. Yes.
But I did just start testing this Orki one, which is this is a key charger.
I have it somewhere on my desk.
Sorry, I'm getting myself mixed up. But what I love about this is it has the fan in it, because my phone heats up so fast, and I'm guessing when you're on. This isn't 25 though. This is the 15.
That'll be 15.
Yeah, but I'm thinking when it's the 25, is it gonna like be even hotter? That's a concern. That's gonna be. I mean, my phone will often stop charging because it says it's too hot. So yeah, these kind of devices with built-in cooling are gonna potentially be a lot more attractive once we get those faster speeds. I am excited.
We've seen quite a few actively cooled ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever go to IFA? In Berlin? No.
We'll talk after the show.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, because last year at IFA, there were a ton of, there was a big, it's a big phone accessories show, as well as smart home show. This is the consumer tech show in Berlin every September. And these Orki ones, I think, actually debuted there last year. So I would assume we're going to see a slew of new ones announced at that show, which is in a couple of months.
I agree, and I also think that Apple's going to want to capitalize on that, and I think the iPhone 17 will be advertised as having Qi 2.2 certification, but at the same time, just like it did with the regular Qi 2 certification, it'll backpedal that to other devices. I mean, we could, not like it matters, Apple can do Qi 2.2 certification on older devices, but it doesn't have to support 25 watts. It's always up to 25 watts.
Right.
So it can go all the way back to the, 12? And do Qi 2.2 certification on all of its devices, but only support the faster charging on the newest ones, so the 16 series and the 17 series. But here's what'll get more exciting, Jen. Like, it's such a cat and mouse game of what's going to happen here, but Apple could introduce faster charging on the 17 series, and that could be Qi 2.3 that we'll get in another year. So Apple could do something crazy like that, like, oh, we're going to offer 45 watts charging, but we'll also offer 25 watts via Qi 2.2 certification. We're the first phones certified, because they were the first phones certified with Qi 2.
Right.
They could want to claim the title for Qi 2.2 as well.
Right. Well, and right after IFA, when we'll probably see a whole bunch of these, like the week later is normally the big iPhone event. So it's great timing for all of that. So
WPC already made it official. We've already had a couple companies, like literally there's little tiny snippets of information out there. Like Anchor has a one piece on its website that just said, what is Qi 2.2? They don't have any devices announced, but they just like say, these are why it's nice. And then I think, someone else announced like a battery pack that they're RAV powered, maybe like, first Qi 2.2 certified one. But I have a bunch of people pitching, we're going to be the first. We're waiting the letter that it's us. So we will see soon enough. Let's hit this really fast. We don't need to linger on this because the same news has been reported 300 times, Jen. Apple's smart home display thing has been delayed until 2026.
I know.
Gurman is just confirming this again.
Didn't we? I mean, the date there's never officially been a date. So this is just rumors changing. But I think there had been some hope potentially with the launch of iOS 26 and the iPhone in September that potentially they may say, and look, here we have the display. But it's clear that Apple's Siri intelligence is still a large work in progress. So it's going to be potentially now that he's saying next spring, which spring is the more traditional time for, like, that's when we would get the iPads and the HomePods, although earlier. I have been testing a new Alexa Plus the last week or so. I got access. And it is, this race to make the smart home assistant smarter. Right now, Amazon is winning that one because at least it has a product out in a lot of homes, not every home, millions, they say. Google Assistant has some upgrades, but again, also seems hard to access. Not everyone has it. But the Alexa Plus is also in a beta, a public beta right now. Yeah. But it seems like Siri's going to be far behind on this one. But that's not unusual for Apple. They like to come in and do it better than everyone else has and learn from everyone's mistakes. So we'll see. But it is frustrating. I mean, I had switched to using Siri. So as a smart home tech reviewer, I don't just stick with one platform most of the time. I use all of them. I know Andrew gets to just focus on Apple Home, which I'm very jealous about. But so I use them all, but recently I had pretty much switched just to Siri and Apple Home, mainly for the control center. I'm not going to lie, because that just makes it so easy to control things, because I'm constantly changing things in my home. So routines and stuff don't always work for me. Anyway, but between going back and forth between using the new Alexa Plus and using Siri for control it's quite stark now. The difference, like how much better Alexa really, the new Alexa is versus how I mean, Siri does its job well, but its job is very limited, what it is capable of doing. And I actually want more. I want more, Apple. Come on. And I want a smart home display that I can use. No more iPads in the wall.
I know. Seriously. And then what worries me is like the snowball effect because of Apple's delay on, its next gen assistant like that. Yeah. Then we saw that's what caused this smart home display to delay.
Right.
That was going to that seemed like it was ready to go in this spring of this year. That got delayed. Voice was like the central way of controlling it. So without that next gen assistant, that got punted, and I was hoping, maybe Apple was too, that it was going to make it out for the second half of this year. And I could have seen that, Apple did some more work on it, and they could have gotten ready to go to ship with iOS 26. And then, that still didn't happen. So now we're looking at, the 26.4 update in the spring of next year. So That seems likely to me, but now I'm starting to worry about its other ancillary devices, things like HomePod and Apple TV, because I don't want those to get delayed as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like they clearly benefit from the same exact feature set.
Yeah.
So,
and there's nothing
Gurman
right
says
now.
Apple TV the end of the year, so I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And I think Apple TV makes sense to launch with HomePods because you use them as the speakers.
Yes.
So,
although
and they're
that
based
is
on the
actually
same software.
that is another feature of iOS 26 that we didn't touch on, that you can now use other other Bluetooth speakers. AirPlay or Bluetooth?
AirPlay or Bluetooth as permanent.
As permanent, yes, which is such a nice upgrade. I don't know why we weren't able to do that before. But for your Apple TV now, you don't have to have HomePods if you want to use that surround sound feature.
I haven't tried the Bluetooth, but I know it works for sure for AirPlay speakers.
Yeah.
But very handy. And we also skipped over Thread 1.4 support on Apple TV, so throw those back at the beginning of the episode.
Apple TV, which this wasn't announced, but this was sort of spotted in the code that it is 1.4, which will make it the second smart home hub to be on 1.4 because IKEA's Matter update to its Digital hub, which I think you guys talked about last week, was it has 1.4. It's the first.
I thought the Aqara ones did, but I can't remember.
No, I think they were still on 1.3. 1.4. So I remember right after Apple announced, when Apple did not announce, we found out that Apple TV had Thread 1.4 in. I reached out to all the main platforms. So Amazon Echoes, Eeros, what are the other ones? Google Nests, Samsung's Threadboard router capable devices. And they all said they were still on 1.3. Some of them even further back. So it looked like Apple was going to be the first, which was kind of a big thing for Apple in the smart home space.
Okay.
It's not normally leading.
Well, here's the thing, though. Technically, I would still say they are the first because I think the update for the Digital hub is also still in beta. So Apple's is in beta, and theirs is in beta, but Apple's beta came out first. So I would say Apple was the first then.
Oh, we are splitting hairs here, aren't we? That's true. Although theirs was in a developer beta, whereas IKEA's was in a public beta. So
okay, but anyone can be a developer with just signing up for free, splitting hairs.
Yeah. I thought you still had. I thought they went back to you having to pay the $100. Did they not?
No, it's only for submitting apps and stuff, but getting like the access to developer beta software and everything, that's free. So that's nice. Okay, stick a pin in that because I want to thank our sponsors for the episode, starting off with Function. And I have been very excited about Function Health for a couple episodes now, right? You guys have probably heard me talk about it on a high level overview type situation of what Function Health is. But now I have gotten my lab test done and I'm getting results back, and I can tell you way more about it and why I'm even more excited now that I've actually got to get some of my results back. Like, there's a bunch of reasons why I chose to use Function Health, but let me give you the lowdown here. So first, you sign up. Really easy to do. It walks you through everything, including scheduling like your lab visits. Super, super simple. You do first one, then you do a second one within 10 or so days. So you go get your labs done really quick, just in and out. Very fast. Like I was there for like less than 10 minutes and got everything done for both visits. So super cool. Got that done. And then within like a day or something, they say it'll take at least like 72 hours something for stuff to start showing up. But I had mine showing up within a day into the Function app, and it breaks everything down. So like I see, like I log in here, I'm looking on my phone. It's like, oh, long live Andrew, which appreciate it. Thanks, Function. But it gives me, so far, it has reported on 92 of my biomarkers. It gives me 68 of them that are in range and 24 of them that are out of range. And I love data. I love metrics. I love it. Like this is so for me, guys. So I jump in here immediately. I'm looking at the out of range because it's like, how am I going to die? Jumping right into those, but it breaks all these down into data as well as just natural language. Like it makes it really easy to understand what you're looking at to best understand your body. I mean, Function talks about all these different things that you can learn, like how well your thyroid is actually working, not just in range by looking at like your T3, T4, TGAB antibodies, TPO antibodies, that kind of stuff. Your skeletal strength and immune resilience, thanks to vitamin D. Like, I had been taking vitamin D for ages. Do I still need to? Where was I at with that? Function told me I'm actually really great in vitamin D right now, so I don't need to be taking, I had stopped taking it a few weeks ago. I'm like, I need to reorder that. Not right now. I don't need to, because I know where my vitamin D levels are at with this, which is super interesting to me. But for me, type 1 diabetic, so there's obviously some here that were going to be out of range, which was most of these. It's looking at things like some of my blood stuff that was showing me was like, oh, your blood sugar was a little bit elevated. That's unusual. That's because I'm a type 1 diabetic. So that for sure makes sense. But it's giving me things like my biological age, tells you how fast your body is actually aging. Your cells are aging compared to your actual real life age. I can see things from like my heart stuff, which was the main thing that I was concerned about. My family has a big history of like high cholesterol, and I had gotten it tested years ago, but hadn't in a while. So like, where was it at? And I was shocked because most of my cholesterol levels were actually really good, and I was slightly high on my bad cholesterol, but it was actually really close to being in range to where I wanted it to be. So I'm like, I actually feel good about this. I feel good about my health and understanding so much more about me. Then you can go to like your in-range one, and it breaks all these down as well. I've never heard of half of these things, but you can click into them. It shows you what yours is, where your range is, how it looks over time. And that's what's really cool about this, is you do this and then you can go back again for your later visits, and it actually shows you how these things are changing. Are they getting better? And it actually breaks those down into a whole separate category called improved. So you know what is out of range, what you may want to get into range. If there is something concerning, of course, it'll refer you to a doctor, and you'll get clinical notes on all these things within a couple weeks of all your tests coming back. But I'm so excited. Like, I can just geek about this. I can tell you like all the stuff that'll watch for you for like learn about your food and emotional responses, how you're handling stress, your appetite control, energy, immunity, fat burning, all of this stuff you can learn so much about. I spent like over an hour just looking through all my results, reading in plain English what these things mean. Is it concerning? Is it not concerning? What is it? And I love it. So if you guys are interested in learning about your health, taking control of your health in a very easy to do way that you can do, you can learn more and join using my link. It is in the show notes. The first 1,000 get a $100 credit towards their membership. Visit www.functionhealth.com/HomeKit. It's all uppercase if that matters, but functionhealth.com/HomeKit, or use code HomeKit100 at sign up to check on your own health. So try it out if you're interested. I'm excited still. Like, there's like 160 biomarkers I think it tests, and I've only got 92 in. So I'm like checking this every day right now to see like, oh, I got more health results. Like, what are they? What do they mean? What can I learn? Do I need to take a supplement? Like, what tell me? I'm so excited about it. So I'm going to keep checking out this. Check out the link in the show notes if you guys want to learn more. We also have Shopify, which always a good time. We get to talk about Shopify. My wife, again, she was just looking at Shopify yesterday on the couch, looking through different companies that have specific Shopify shops and different deals they have going on. One of the big ones she's been looking at recently has been Aviator Nation, because she's got several huge discounts from them through the shop app. But on a high level, Shopify is great for both businesses as well as customers. On the business side of things, they make it so easy to start your business or grow your business. So if you are just starting out, you're selling little things that you knitted in your garage, great, good for you. You can sell those. You can spin up a website with Shopify with knowing nothing. You don't have to know anything about shipping. You don't have to know anything about taxes. You don't have to know anything about like where you are going to ship to or how to make a website. None of that stuff. You can spin up a website and start selling almost immediately. Or if you are a bigger store, you're like kind of in the middle, you have maybe one shop, but you also sell things online. Cool. They can manage your inventory for you and do ship to store and in-store pickup. Things like that are really cool. Or if you are bigger, like companies like Allbirds, Rothy's, Brooklyn, and Nomad, Moment, 12 South, like all these great tech companies that I work with and buy from all the time, they all also use Shopify for a reason. They can help you grow that business even further and help you with a bunch of really fancy things. Brilliant even uses it. They were just on the podcast. Great stuff for every level, every stage of your company. They also, one of the things they're most excited about is like their crazy good converting checkout experience. On the customer side, it just makes it really easy because you can use like Shop Pay, Google Pay, Apple Pay to breeze through that checkout process. Shows you where you are. You can track your order through the Shop app, so you can actually see it's being fulfilled, it's being shipped, where the shipping information is it here. Then leave reviews, and then, as I said, use the Shop app to do more shopping. It's my favorite place to find new gift ideas for people because it uses like AI to give you suggestions. So like I like kind of bougie craft little things that people haven't heard of a lot, and Shopify helps me find brands like that I connect with and like, whether it's for me or for other people. So check it out. Turn your big business idea into success with Shopify on your side. Sign up for $1 per month trial period and start selling today at shopify.com/HomeKit, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit, shopify.com/HomeKit. Well, we talked about Aqara. Let's talk about Aqara very fast again, because I want to talk about the chickens. Aqara has 3 new products. Like, they dumped all these. So like last week I talked about the doorbell, the G410, which I think is amazing and I love it. But they have 3 other products they also announced. There's the G100. This is a standalone indoor-outdoor camera. It's got 2K video, a built-in spotlight, torchlight, IP65, weather resistance, color night vision, and RTSP support for round-the-clock 24/7 monitoring. I like this. I will for sure be trying one of these out, but that is nice. There's the floor heating thermostat. This is the W500. It's for the EU market because apparently people in the US don't like to have warm floors. I don't know. But it's a wall-mounted thermostat for heated floors is basically all it is, and it supports Thread and Zigbee. Then there's the dimmer switch H2 US. There's no neutral wire needed, which is nice. There's like 2 buttons on the bottom that are like a quarter of the size for up and down arrows, and the top one is the big one for like on and off and stuff. And again, it supports Thread and Zigbee. What do you think of all these, Jen? And follow-up question for you. Have you had any luck testing the RTSP support for any Aqara cameras? Because I wanted to try it, and I couldn't quite figure out how to set everything up.
Yeah,
so I want to try that. Yeah.
No,
I was hoping
haven't.
It would not be.
No, and it is. I mean, it's a great option to have, but it's very much a niche audience of people that use that, like routing to like your local server or home assistant, or if you have like a NAS storage system.
But I get
something.
the complaints all the time of people like, I just wanted to record all the time. Why do I have to wait for it to detect things? Because obviously they're all using like AI detection or various degrees of motion detection, and it wasn't always accurate. I mean, we know Apple's AI stuff skips things in its detection.
When do they fix that? I mean, seriously. Yeah, I know.
Their home hub, Jen, in the spring.
When
Apple Intelligence comes to the TV.
I know. Well, it's never really been updated since it launched, and it's like so unreliable.
They added package support.
Packages.
That was the only update.
Yeah. Once we got some doorbell cameras, they added the package. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that was a while ago. But I haven't got the G100. I have what's the other one that
G5 Pro Hub.
Thank you. The fancier one. And yeah, no, I've not done. I don't do a lot of security camera testing just because there's so many. I mainly do floodlight cameras, which are wired, because I really like having continual power. This will actually come on to our next story when we get there, about what kind of battery-powered cameras I think you should have in your garden. I do like the G5. Is it G5?
Yes, it's the G5 Pro Hub. And there's Wi-Fi and PoE versions.
But again, when I use it through HomeKit, it's unreliable. I do find HomeKit cameras
What?
Unreliable. Yes.
Wait, hold on. You mean the HomeKit secure video part, not just the live. Okay, because the live streaming is still stupid fast. Like it is the fastest camera I've ever seen respond.
Yeah, it is responsive, and I like the design. This new one looks a lot like the Eve cam, which I thought was interesting. And they had this at CES, the new camera.
Yes.
It's basically
all these I think were at CES.
Yes, basically a smaller version of the G5 without the hub features, and I think this is great for the sort of a less expensive entry point, which is one of the things that Aqara is known for. I mean, it's I think $40, $42. I mean, that's great for a HomeKit secure video camera. I mean, that's on the same kind of level as some Eufy cams that originally had, some of the indoor cams originally had HomeKit. What are the other HomeKit secure videos in this secure video supporting
So
cams
there's
in
the
this price range?
the Ecobee one, which I think is a fantastic
that's
deal.
more like $100, isn't it? Or $80.
It is, but it's frequently on sale. I see that on
camera.
sale a lot.
Yeah, I do.
And
like
they
that
have
one.
a lot of features. For a while, they were one of the cheapest, and it was such a premium camera.
Yeah.
So big fan of that one. But that's
that's
out
an
there. There's a
indoor
Logi
camera.
Circle View.
That's an indoor camera.
Correct.
This is
indoor outdoor. This is everything.
Is, it's for $42 is a really good value, and it has the spotlight, which I think is especially for an outdoor camera. It's got it's a great value little package here, because people, these I love the approach of the G5, having everything you could need, and I like the idea of having a hub outside, because I'm starting to do a lot more in the garden with smart devices, and hopefully. There aren't a lot of Thread garden devices yet. There's a few from Eve, but I think we might see more.
Or not Aqara, but the Eve Aqua.
The Aqua, yes. But the idea of being able to have a hub outside is great. But for most people, if you just want to keep an eye on something, like maybe a raccoon, or a human that shouldn't be in your yard, you don't need a full smart home hub. You want something like this that's not going to cost a fortune, but that's going to have good and 2K quality. I think this is a great little addition to their lineup. I'm really excited about the. Sorry.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I may replace one of my HomeKit cameras, like one of my Eves, like maybe the original Eve one, because they did upgrade the motion sensing, I think, on the second one, a few other changes.
Yeah.
I might upgrade that one to this guy.
Yeah.
Because I do like, aside from the fact that it's so affordable, you have 2K resolution through there, and if it's as fast as the G5 Pro is, I'm sold. Yeah. I'm tired of any cameras, anything, just taking so long to load, and this is so quick. I'm like, every camera needs to do this, and now there's no excuse. I don't want to hear any other excuse when Aqara is doing it for $40.
Yeah. Do you think it's the Wi-Fi 6? I don't know. Yeah, what it is that they've done to make it speedy, because that is the number one issue I have with testing smart home cameras is the speed. I even put Wi-Fi in my backyard to try and help with it, and there's no real value for security if you have to wait 20 seconds for it to load, and by the time you see what's happening, it's sort of too late to respond. I like the speed of this. Is hopefully, if this is as good as the G5. I'm excited about the dimmer switch, though. I like Aqara's smart switch line, and I do not have neutral wires in 80% of my home, so I really like the option to have something that's a little more advanced. A lot of the no neutral options I have, I mean, Caseta is the main one for no neutral, but they're very expensive compared to the price point that Aqara is bringing. I do think I'm still fascinated by the fact that they're doing both Zigbee and Thread, which is
right.
I get the fence sitting. I'm sure Nanoleaf would agree it's a wise move because of the issues there had been with Thread, but. But it is interesting that's still their approach, but it does make it a lot easier for people who don't understand the complexities and the details, the difference between you don't need the hub, which is the big thing. I think it's probably been a big issue for them in the US market, in that most of their products required the hub, and now they're starting with Thread not to need the hub, though you do still need a hub, so it's not as clean cut as it should be. But the dimmer switch looks really sweet. I like this. I
think they wanted to retain a little bit of backward compatibility with their earlier hubs as well.
Yes, yeah.
For people who were built out on whatever they were, like the M2 or something that didn't have Thread yet.
Yeah. The one thing I wondered about this is if it had the smart bulb compatibility, because I know all of their neutral wire options do, but I don't know. I don't see anything on the specs that specifies if it does, because That is, yeah. So it says it offers wide light compatibility, supports incandescent, halogen dimmer, blah, 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 and types of non-smart lamps. So I don't think it has the smart bulb compatibility, which is something that Aqara offers and a couple other brands do, so that you can use smart switches with smart bulbs, which has always been a bit of a tricky thing to have.
I had to put a hue. I did one of the hue in, like, the ones that go behind the socket, the relay switch.
Like the relay switch, yeah.
I put one of those in and then connected it as an automation to my nanoleaf bulb. So whenever I turn on the light switch, it trips the relay and sends an automation to turn on my nanoleaf bulbs. And I set like up a conditional, like if they're on, turn them off. If they're off, turn them on.
Has that worked well for you?
To do all that. 90% of the time.
That's pretty good. But that's why, and you could keep your existing switch, which is nice if you like switches. But yeah,
I mainly didn't want to buy a bunch of hue bulbs, and I had a bunch of nanoleaf. That's honestly where that stemmed from. Yeah. Because we have like those light fixtures in your bathroom where they're like, hey, how many bulbs can we fit on a mirror? That's what the designer had done. So I'm like, I got to buy like 10 hue bulbs, but I have a bucket of nanoleaf bulbs that are all thread and everything. So I'm like, well, we're going. I would have preferred like fancy hue filament ones, but I also want to.
Did you see the new?
Buy that many bulbs.
You talked about the new GE bulb a couple of weeks ago, I think, didn't you? That's very cool.
Such a good deal.
Yeah, because those hue filament bulbs are not cheap.
No,
but
I love them.
The smart switch, smart light dilemma needs to be solved in a simpler way, and I'm really hoping that Matt is going to help with this, because I have asked Aqara about this, that in theory its smart bulb feature could work with other brands if it's supported in Matter. Right now that's not a supported feature, but that would be great. But right now you can get this to dim. I tell you the thing I would use this for, because I do right now have the Aqara ceiling light installed, and it's on a dumb switch because I don't have neutral wires in that hallway, and it's very frustrating because you turn it off and it doesn't work. And so this would be great for that, because you can use the extra buttons hopefully to program to control the different lights. Ooh, sorry, I'm hitting my microphone. I'm very gesticular right now. So yeah, there's some good products. Aqara always, they're non-stop. They have so much that their line is just getting, and I'm sure with IFA right around the corner, they always show up big to IFA. I think the G5 was originally announced at IFA, so I think in a couple of months we'll see a whole bunch more. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Well, I thought about this right as we were talking about the cameras. I forgot this was also in our notes, Jen's. Wemo is gone. Wemo is dead.
Yeah. Wemo who? I mean, so really?
But I loved the Wemo products. I mean, they were one of the first, HomeKit secure video doorbells. I really liked their thread button, other than the battery issues, which was more of a Matter thread situation than, a Belkin situation. Yeah. But their thread remote was fantastic and so early, and then they basically backtracked on Matter once things weren't clear how things were evolving, and there were so many delays on stuff. But I remember having, I don't know if you remember these. Do you remember like the very first Wemo devices? They were like these big things that plugged into your outlets.
Plugs, yeah.
And I had the regular plugs, and then I also had the motion sensors, which were you'd plug it into your outlet. Then it plugged in with like an aux cable, and there's a long skinny string.
Oh wow, I don't know that I went that far back.
Oh yeah. Oh, Jen, I had these in my dorm room.
Oh,
like, literally,
okay.
I had a smart dorm room.
Wow.
With smart lights. Yeah, like
I didn't have a smartphone
way back
in college,
then.
so.
With my Harmony 1100 universal remote that I could control everything with. I know. That's also dead. That's also no longer a thing. Harmony's gone, but I'm so bummed by this.
I know. I mean, it wasn't a surprise, though, was it? Like, as you mentioned, was probably 2 years ago, they said they had originally said we were supporting Matter, and we were gonna, and they had thread products because they had some of the first HomeKit over thread. And they said we're they announced actually that we are not going to produce what we said we were going to do. We're not going to move forward with Thread, and we're essentially at that point they said they weren't really moving forward with smart home devices, but they said they were going to reassess and regroup. So I guess there was the hope potentially that they may kind of come back and say, hey, we've got a whole new line and we're fully in on Matter and here we go. But Belkin smart home has never really been a large portion of its business. It's very much the phone accessory business, and they did have the water shut-off valve, which they sold not that long ago as well. So that was sort of the first step that they'd moved out. Was it Finn? I think Finn was the Belkin one, and I know that they got bought quite recently, or fully sold to a partner that had been involved. I forget the exact details. So yeah, they've been moving out for a while. And just for people who are worried about their devices to understand, what is happening is that they are shutting down the Wemo cloud service beginning in January, I believe. So you've got a little bit of time. But that means if you were using any Wemo devices that use the Wemo app, you will no longer be able to use them through the Wemo app. If you had connected them to Apple Home through HomeKit, you will still be able to use them, correct?
No problems at all.
And then any of their Thread-based devices, which include the button and a couple other products, and their doorbell, those are still going to be supported and continued, although they don't use the Wemo app. Those connect directly to Apple Home. They never had the Wemo app. So if you have those products, no worries. They'll still continue to work. And this is, it is a sad demise of the Wemo, which was one of the original great smart home gadgets, although I always found them quite unreliable. But is that this move towards Matter and Thread and this local control will mean that any of these companies today that are bringing out new products, you don't have to worry that they're going to go and do a Wemo in 5 years, because even if they do, your products are still going to work. And this is one of the sort of founding pillars of Matter, is that taking away that worry that a smart home company is going to go out of business and your device won't work, which has been happening far too often recently. And these, companies are just kind of abandoning their users, and that's not a good look. It's not a good thing for the smart home at all. So it makes me quite sad and mad. What about you?
For sure. I mean, well, that's been the thing about HomeKit from the beginning, was it was, local and relied zero on the device manufacturers once it was like, in HomeKit.
Yeah.
You didn't have to, like, other than the extra features that Apple Home didn't support, everything else you did not need. And that was always such like a nice thing, because they're like the D-Link Omna, the first camera, that still works. I still have one and it still works. Yeah. It gets hot as heck. But honestly, it's still 1080p and it still works in a HomeKit. Yeah. So like that thing is still fine. My Logitech Circle camera that they added like a HomeKit secure video to, that still works, even though they've basically kind of gotten away from most of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the Wemo doorbell is still good. I still recommend it if you want a HomeKit wired doorbell.
Yeah.
I've always preferred it over the Logitech, because they had a few features I preferred. But I mean, they're similar. Obviously, they have, although the Logitech had more of the overheating issues, if I recall correctly, and it was much more of a pain to install. But
so here's my larger, I wouldn't say a concern, because there's the potential for an upside here, but everyone knows Belkin makes Apple things that Apple doesn't want to make, right? Apple wants you to use your iPhone as a stand or as a webcam for your computer, but they're not going to make a little webcam stand, because that's, not a nice. So they're just going to have Belkin create it and it ships at the same time that the feature comes out. Like they literally work hand in hand with them. Apple produces its stuff through Foxconn, which literally just owns Belkin. So there's a lot of like crossplay and synergy here between those two brands. Like they are some of the first to support HomeKit secure video. They were some of the first to support, they were early with HomeKit in general. MagSafe chargers, they were one of the launch ones. So they create things like the doorbell or the remote that Apple may not want to make. And without them being there, the only other one that Apple works closely with has been Logitech, and they're also not doing much in the smart home space. So where does that leave Apple. Maybe that is why we've heard the rumors that Apple's working on its own cameras and doorbells, because it's kind of losing these partners that would have produced such products for it.
Maybe that's why the partners are leaving the smart home space, because Apple is doing it on its own. So they don't see the benefit anymore. Because you're right, both Belkin and Logitech just dabbled in smart home for Apple, because Apple was their, as you say, one of the main aspects of their larger business. So the Logitech obviously has the mouse keyboard world as well. But yeah, I think I've still not 100% sold on the rumor that Apple is going to do its own smart home hardware. It just doesn't. It still doesn't really jive for me, other than the control points. I'm not saying I don't want it to happen. I'm just not sure it's going to happen. It's kind of not the point of Matter either. Like, the whole point of Matter is that they can, and Apple obviously is hugely influential in creating Matter, is that there will be products that can work with its home platform. I just don't see the point of them creating their own doorbell or their own light switches, when there are so many out there that work with Apple Home now. But we'll see. But
well, I mean, I think on the doorbell side, they're leveraging stuff like Face ID, like their facial scanning is really good. Do we need that on top of other things? That's another question.
Yeah.
But I think Apple wants to put its foot, or put its hat into the ring for things that are security and privacy based. Because people trust it for those, and they don't necessarily trust it for other companies.
Yeah.
So if Apple is offering something and you're like, oh, wow, first off, no extra subscription needed for any of this stuff, because it's going to work directly with iCloud, no extra subscriptions. It has my facial data for my phone, so it can automatically unlock the door knowing that it's me, and adding that extra layer so it can use like UWB plus facial recognition to authenticate that it is you, not just your phone, and then let you in.
Yeah.
Like, it can do some of those a little bit better than a third party can. So yes, you can still get a Matter one, but Apple can say, like, also, we're way more private, secure, don't sell your data, and there's no added subscriptions. And I think that can be their angle.
I just feel like it's such a small market. And I know the wish for Matter is to grow the market, but the market is so small that it's like, in Apple's scheme of things, it just feels like it's such small fry. Like, I was talking to lock manufacturers. Locks and doorbells are kind of two of the more mainstream aspects of the smart home today, beyond speakers. And they said there's still less than 10% market penetration for smart locks. Which for you and I, that's hard to wrap our head around, because we're kind of so involved in this world. But for normal people, most people still just use a key. And yes, that'll grow, but it's still compared to selling phones, speakers, and even Apple TVs, it's such a small slice that I'm just not sure it's part of the bigger picture for Apple. But we will see.
Okay, so here's the only other thing that I will say. I think the reason that these two make sense, I've talked to somebody else about this, and I can't remember if it was on the podcast or just like at Dub or something. But as we're getting more into the future, it could even been with Jimmy, Nanoleaf Jimmy.
Yeah.
But when, like, clearly AI is going to be for the smart home. Like, that's going to be one of the biggest applications to actually make a home smart and predictive, and not just you creating schedules and automations. Yeah. But there's only so much you can do with sensors, and video is going to allow you to do so much more, between telling who is in a room, what you're doing in a room, like all of these types of things. And I think Apple wants to do that. They want to start using Apple Intelligence to make your home intelligent.
Yeah.
But I don't think they want to seed Apple Intelligence ones with like the same abilities to control your home, like with Apple Intelligence and stuff. So I feel like that's why they are doing it, because they want those to be the cameras that they're using. That way they have more control over
the system. But these cameras right now, we're talking outside your home, not inside your home.
We heard camera and we heard doorbell. I never heard outdoor camera. It just camera, and then the doorbell is obviously outside. So then you would have outdoor and you'd have indoor.
Yeah. Cameras in the home, though, still, I don't know. It would make more sense, I think, rather than like at the Amazon approach and Google putting the camera in the smart speaker. or in the home hub.
We've heard cameras on Apple TV for years.
Yes, and
or a smart soundbar, HomePod
Yes.
soundbar with a speaker with a camera.
I mean, there's a lot they could do, and they obviously have recommitted to this space, so it makes sense that they'd be looking to expand into different hardware. I feel like it's not, especially with the setbacks with the AI. I wouldn't wait for an Apple doorbell. I would get one if you need one now. It's going to be a while if at all.
True. Okay, let's wrap this up talking about the topic that everyone has been waiting for. Everyone is sitting on the edge of their car seats like, talk about the chickens. Like, fine, we'll do it. We'll get to it. Okay. Jen and I have been talking behind the scenes, so Jen knows what's going on. But as a recap, for those people who missed the last episode, we've been having some chicken problems at our coop. We built our coop from scratch, and we lost 7 chickens over the course of several nights, and left us kind of scrambling at what is going on.
Sorry.
Why are we losing our chickens? And like, we already have a bunch of smart tech out there, from a motion sensing barn light on the front to the chicken guard door that opens and closes based on like time of day and light and everything. But we were still losing chickens, and it was weird. We didn't know what it was, all that stuff, but it's far enough away. Like when Wes and I were talking, like, it's not easy to get a camera to, and we have to get something that's like battery powered because there's no power out there, but there's no Wi-Fi. So it was a whole situation. So, Wes and I talked a bunch, had some ideas. Jen and I even talked. But since the last episode, I can give you guys all a general update. Our chickens have been safe so far. We got down to only 3 hens. But I ended up going with Jen's suggestion, at least temporarily, to put in some blink cameras, which we will talk about, to kind of see what was going on. But the high level, Faith saw the barn light go off, and she's like, something's at the coop. And she grabbed like the binoculars and looked, and she didn't even need the binoculars because there was a massive raccoon going across the lawn.
Rascally raccoons hate the suckers.
And then we ended up seeing multiple others that were so much smaller. So we ended up catching 2 smaller ones. There is still one smaller one that we're seeing around. We have not seen the big one in several days, but because of like the cameras and when we knew they were coming out, we found out how they were getting in, which was in the eaves of the roof over the pen, the run area. Typically, raccoons don't come out that early, so the chickens go inside, they're locked inside. So even if a raccoon could get in, there's nothing for them to do because there's a locked door protecting the chickens. But these raccoons had been smart enough to come out earlier when the door was still open and the chickens were still outside, and then climbed in and was massacring them. So we sealed up all the eaves, got all that secure, so it is secure. The raccoons cannot get in. We're still seeing some raccoons thanks to those blink cameras, but because everything is nice and secure now, we felt safe enough to get a few more babies. So we found some 1-month-old pullets that could go.
I didn't know about this. Oh, how exciting!
I know. Well, the biggest problem was we didn't want to get baby chicks because I wasn't getting a heat lamp and doing that whole situation. Like we can't bring them inside, and I wouldn't do anything outside because we still have so many cats and other predators, and we'd have to get a tub. It was a whole thing to raise actual chicks.
It does take a lot of work.
Before when we had more hens, we'd usually wait for one to get broody, which means they just sit in the box and try to hatch out eggs. We'd go in the middle of the night, put a couple baby chicks under her, and she's like, oh my gosh, my eggs have hatched. What has happened? I will raise my babies. And then she would raise up the babies, and that worked perfectly. So every night they would just go underneath mom, and she would literally raise them. But now that we only have 3 hens, none of them are broody, we needed to find another way to get some chickens. So we found some 1-month-old pullets about an hour away at a garden center that randomly had some. So we got 3 different types. There is like, I know 2 are Americanas. One is like Australorb or something.
Oh, fun.
Those. And then one is like a gold lace or something. She looks like a monarch butterfly when she'll be full grown. So she'll look really pretty. So that's where we're at. We have new hens, kept them away. Yes.
How are the new hens getting on with the old hens? That doesn't always go well. But maybe that's a story.
Well, I made a separate. We have, so the way our coop is designed, you remember the video I sent you, Jen?
Yes.
We have like the nesting boxes protrude Thank you. The nesting boxes protrude out the side.
Yeah.
And they're separated into 3. So what I did was I just used some more chicken wire and some spare pieces of wood, and I made a little interior box
Like a
that
little
would
nursery.
separate 2 of the nesting boxes from the rest of the coop.
Yeah.
So that way the babies go in there, they get to see the other hens, get acclimated to them, but they're not in the full area yet. I mean, plus we're still giving them chick feed at a month old. So they're able to have their own food and water. And then we have the Blink camera on the inside to watch them.
So I recommended the Blink camera because I've used that myself in my chicken coops. Mainly, the big benefit is range and battery life. Battery-powered cameras do not last long. I have tested Arlo's, Eufy's, pretty much everything out there, and Blinks and Ring. Ring has obviously battery-powered cameras as well, but especially if you have them near a chicken coop where chickens are moving constantly, the battery will drain in days. And Blink has developed a specific silicon for its cameras that is very low power, and you can keep a Blink camera going for up to about a year on 2 AA batteries, which is, there's no other camera on the market that can do that, and they are inexpensive. But you do need a little hub, which does, I think it was this was in the middle of Prime Day, so it was on sale with the hub. And the new hub they have has a new feature called XR, which uses a sub-gig frequency if your Wi-Fi does not reach out to where you want to go, to extend the range of the camera. And there's like 2 levels. There's XR and there's like XR2 to get even further out. The further you go out, the lower the quality is, but you're still able to get notifications and see some, especially if you're looking for sort of an animal, you don't necessarily need to like identify a license plate. You just need to know if there's a creature out there. And they're also very small and easy to mount, or just put, like I actually just put mine in the corner of the chicken box, whereas like a big Ring camera would just get destroyed. Whereas these are really tiny, and you can just pop them in. I have a wired Blink in my main chicken coop, and then I have a battery powered Blink in my other chicken coop. I have 3 chicken coops, because I'm also testing smart coops, which would have been another suggestion I have for you. There's a company called Coop that has AI powered. So I'm testing their coop. I should have a review out here soon. They have AI powered battery cameras, and the AI is specific for chickens. So it'll tell you if it sees an egg. It will tell you when it sees it will count your chickens for you. Like at nighttime, it will say, 3 chickens in the coop and coop door closed, so that the AI is trained on the door opening and closing, on the type of chickens, and also on the type of predators. So it will say if it sees a canine or a raccoon or a mink, or if it sees a rat or a squirrel, it'll say, non-threatening animal versus threatening animal. And then it has a built-in alarm and lights that will flash if it sees a dangerous animal. However, it's battery powered and they just don't last. Like they go like 3 days, because the AI is a huge power suck. They do have solar panels. That's something that you can get for a lot of battery powered cameras. In fact, most battery powered cameras come with solar panels nowadays, because it is such a pain to have to constantly recharge them. But the solar panels are not easy either. They're ugly as well. Like you're not just putting a little camera somewhere. You're trying, you've got this big panel you've got to put somewhere. Not a lot of sun inside a chicken coop either, so you do kind of and the coop situation has a little panel that will charge both the cameras, but I just haven't found it very consistent. Like it will maybe last a week, and then I have to take them inside and recharge them, and even the solar panel just can't keep them powered. It's a startup. I'm sure they'll improve their technology, and it's great to see someone trying to do this, because you really can't have wired cameras in a chicken coop. I mean, I know you and Wesley talked at length about how easy it is to run PoE, but it's just not something that most people are going to do. Having a battery-powered solution makes a lot more sense for chickens. But I have found the Blink. I'll tell you something I really like about the Blink is it has a built-in temperature sensor, and it is hot right now. So I'm able to check in and make sure, what the temperature is in the coop, so that if I need to do some kind of modification, I can, and it's a lot hotter here than where you are, I think, though. So you probably don't have so much of an issue there. But it is. They are. I'm interested in your experience using the Blink cameras, because I know you've pretty much exclusively used HomeKit secure video cameras to date, and Blink is a very different experience. It's a much simpler, I would say, experience. It's very much designed more for the mass market as well, because they are really cheap. You can buy them at Costco for like 5 cameras for $100. You know, they're definitely like the cheaper version of Ring. So yeah, how has it been, and was it any good? Are you glad you got them? Are you returning them? Tell us.
Well, okay, it's all over the place, my kind of thoughts. So on one hand, I liked how easy they were to really set up. The battery life is really compelling.
Yeah.
All of that is great. The downsides, its AI stuff is pretty awful. It keeps telling me there's a person
and it's a chicken.
At my chicken coop. Yeah, and it's just a chicken. Yeah. It's told me there are vehicles. What is it detecting that it thinks is a vehicle?
So the AI is all on device too, though. So it's not going to the cloud. So it's it's pretty basic.
So it's pretty terrible for things like, maybe it'll do better if there was an actual person, but like, yeah, I don't know where it's getting a vehicle for sure. So that's the
chicken's
thing.
Running.
Yeah.
Chickens on wheels.
Maybe. So like that is hit or miss. It also takes a little bit to connect. Like when I pull them up, there's still like several second loading time, and then it still skips things a lot. Like we did see like the raccoon last night, and it was like walking, and all of a sudden like the video, like even the recording, like froze, and then like a couple seconds, and then it refreshed, and like the raccoon was gone. So it's like.
But you got the alert that there's something there, and that's all you really need at this stage, right? That's what the kind of, because that was for me. It's like, because a fancy camera with great AI that cannot connect is not going to do you any good.
Agreed. I think I'm going to keep them because so they sold me on cameras in the chicken coop, and now I'm like, well, damn it, I want like 6, because I'm like, I need one like on the left, I need one on the right, I need one inside of the run to make sure there's no girls outside, and then I need one on the inside. So I need at least like 4 cameras or 5 cameras for this chicken coop. Yeah. So I'm like, so what I think I'm gonna do is I'm definitely gonna keep the 2 Blinks that I have because we have them, but I am gonna run PoE because I'm just going to punch out the side of my house right where the electrical goes in, because we already have a hole there. So I can literally just pull out the sealant around the electrical, run an Ethernet wire, and send that back out to the chicken coop, and then put in probably the Aqara G5 Pro with PoE. I like, it's going to be high resolution. It's got a brighter light on it than these do. Like it'll actually have like way better coverage for that kind of stuff. It'll be much faster to connect. And
Blinks don't have a light. They're just...
No, it's just they night vision. Yeah, so like,
right.
Which also is not.
You want the light good. To hopefully can. The good thing about, and this is what the Coop cameras have, they do have a spotlight to deter. So yeah, a motion activated spotlight in theory could scare off. Although those raccoons, they are smart little buggers.
Oh my gosh. Faith ran out after them yesterday, and it did not care. Like it froze and just like stared at her, and she was running through the yard. She was making noise and waving her arms, flashing a flashlight, clapping her hands, and it just stared at her like, what is this crazy person doing? Like, I guess she's getting kind of close. Okay, I'm gonna dip out of here. Yeah. Like it waited until she was about almost through the fence, and Faith was like, is it gonna charge me? Because it does not seem scared.
No, they aren't. They're not. And this is what I dealt with this issue a while back, which is why I ended up with cameras. And I did have one. I had one chicken lost to a raccoon, and it was just heartbreaking. I'm so sorry for your loss, Andrew. I know how heartbreaking it is. It's just awful.
They all had names.
I know. It's horrible. Oh, it's horrible. And but then for years, I've had chickens for many years now, and it was the first batch that I lost one, and so I've had cameras ever since, and I often see raccoons out there, but they have not figured out how to get in. So the thing is, you can't get rid of them, you just have to really reinforce the coop like Fort Knox, because the thing about chickens is everyone wants to eat them. Everyone, everything. The only decent animal out there is the possum. They don't eat the chickens.
And chickens are literally the most helpless pile
Useless
of feathers that you can find.
Yeah.
They can't see at night. They can't fly. Like, they can do literally nothing.
But they do
so
lay
they're
eggs.
just gonna. Yep, they do that nonstop pretty much. So that's good. I felt like we had a very, very good chicken coop. So we actually I bought blueprints to build our own. So like I got the blueprints, and then Faith and I built it and painted it. But while it's a really good design and everything, I made a couple modifications. First, I did, instead of doing like shingles, I did a metal roof because I wanted to be a little bit, more durable, also pretty easy to put in a metal roof. So just ordered a custom metal roof to the size, and we put that in. The second thing was I added insulation for both winter and the summer. So chickens are really good at regulating temperature. Like, their body temperature is already stupid high. So like, they're pretty cool in like summer and winter. They just do pretty well.
It's like
but
98
just to
degrees
help
here right now, though. 98.
It's been in 90s here in Ohio too, and the
Really?
humidity of like right at 100%. Like, it's terrible.
Ugh.
Yeah. They're very happy with their holes they dug in the ground, and they just nestle down into the holes and just like lower their body temperatures that way.
Yeah.
But I do think like the roof, the insulation was all good. It's in the air. We have like extra security around it. We use like a higher gauge metal instead of like regular chicken wire. It's like a heavier gauge steel stuff for the side. But like, there was a couple things they didn't do. Like, they didn't add protection on those eaves.
Yeah.
So like, you have like 2x4s like for your cross beams for your roof, for your trusses, and then that sits on the sides of the coop, and it's all connected together. But then you have the gap in between your 2x4s essentially, where those raccoons were able to climb up and just crawl through. So once they found that, it was game over for all the chickens that they got, until we figured out what it was and how they were getting in. And the reason that it took us even longer to find that was because we had a second design flaw with the coop, which was that the nesting box, there was no drainage on. It was literally just a piece of plywood with like some accented wood going around it to like box it in and look pretty. But there was like, it would rain and it would just soak right into an angled piece of plywood. It just soaked right in, and
so
after a few years got so rotten and all that stuff. So like, I had been patching it before I was able to get a new piece of plywood and redesign a new roof for it. So what we ended up doing was plywood, extra piece of metal roofing on that, so it actually matches and ties all in. So I have new metal roofing on there to protect the plywood. Then I added a rope going down with like a little ball or like a circle on the end, and then a hook at the top. So you can actually now lift up the coop door with that rope and then put it on the hook to hold it open while you get inside. So now it's easier to open. It is easier to keep the wood not rotten for longer, and we have 2 latches on it, which it didn't include latches. So I added 2 little latches. I made it a little bit longer, added 2 latches to lock it down with locking carabiners, so no raccoon is going to figure out how to open that and get inside
because they've got the dexterity. They can open locks. And you've been a good chicken dad, Andrew. I think it sounds like they're going to be safe, which I'm very happy to hear, because and the smart coops that I've been testing, the other one is from a company called Omelette. They are all made from plastic PVC material, which it doesn't look as nice. Like, your coop looks gorgeous. Your coop looks like a little house. These are a little bit more but they're more durable. Like, they're not going to rot, and it's not possible for an animal to get in through the wire, because a hawk or a raccoon can like rip open wire. That's what happened on for my first chicken. So yeah, the smarts, I'm excited to see more of this innovation in the garden space, like chicken coops and smart sprinklers and all that kind of, and better connectivity for cameras. Like, I think you mentioned Aero Wi-Fi when you talked about this before, their outdoor Wi-Fi solution. I actually installed that and testing that at the moment too. And I have the 2 router set up. So I have the one router in the porch, and then I have another router out by the chicken coop, which is actually helping with Wi-Fi. I have a couple other cameras out there that I'm testing that don't have the XR, the Blink does. So bringing Wi-Fi connectivity into the garden is like a big step for the smart home. I think we'll see a lot more and interesting innovations in the smart garden because it's a fun space. There's a lot you could be doing. And lawnmowers is the other one. So I'm waiting for lawnmowers to be in HomeKit. Do you think that'll happen?
I think so. I mean, I think it's going to add to Matter, right? We'll get it into Matter, and then we'll get into Apple Home. But those have been so popular. Like, they've been taken off like crazy. And I think another year, and it'll be really good to actually recommend. Needs another year, I think.
Oh, yes. I don't know if you read my article, but I wrote a piece at the beginning of the summer about my battle with lawnmowers, and it was not a good experience. But it's like robot vacuums, 10 years ago they were pretty awful, and wow, look what's happened since. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a space to keep an eye on if you're a HomeKit user.
For sure. Well, I know we've been talking specifically about chicken coops, but at least all this information is still relevant. If you guys are trying to cover any extended parts of your property, sheds, secondary buildings, anything like that you're trying to protect, add smart stuff to, gardens, all those things, this is going to be the next area. We're seeing so many more outside devices. So like Jen and we geek out about all this chicken stuff, but for people who don't have chickens.
There aren't any battery-powered HomeKit secure video cameras, except for the Eufy ones, right? Are there any others? So the early
The
Eufy
only
ones
one is like, this doesn't really count,
ones.
but the Aqara doorbell.
Right, I remember you saying you took your doorbell out there.
I tried.
So the newest Eufys, the S3s, I think is the name. They do work with HomeKit Secure Video, and they have solar panels built in. That's not the name. I'll have to look it up. But they have a solar panel built in, which makes it a lot easier because I was talking earlier about how to find a place to put the solar panel. But obviously, a camera with a solar panel built in isn't going to work inside a chicken coop, but you could put it around the coop, which is what I've done. And but the Eufys do need the home base to connect to HomeKit, and they are expensive, but they are good. Those are good cameras if you are looking for a battery-powered outdoor HomeKit secure video compatible camera. The Eufy ones are the way to go because they were the first set. Many years ago worked with HomeKit, and then there was a whole long stretch when they didn't, and now they've come back. So that's a good option if that's something you need in your garden.
Perfect. Jen, thank you so much for hanging out, talking all this stuff today. This eclectic, very full-featured episode of HomeKit Insider. We went for a while.
We did.
We had so much stuff to talk about.
It's quite, yes.
It added up.
It's been a while, too, since I've been here.
That's true. Yes. Well, thank you again. You can check out all of Jen's stuff over at The Verge. You can go to theverge.com. There's also the whole dedicated smart section of it. Still trying to adjust to the redesign, Jen. I have cut down my Verge reading so much, and I'm trying to keep going back.
Stay tuned. There's an interesting new feature coming next week.
I do use that open an Apple News button, like you mentioned, because I do pay for Apple News Plus, so it is included in that. But then for some reason, half the time the articles are like, "Oh, not available in Apple News." I'm like, "Really?"
Oh, really?
Like, yeah,
that shouldn't be the case. I will find out for you on that.
We're adjusting, but I still, of course, I make it over there to read everything of yours, so you can check all of that out. Anywhere else you want to point anyone, Jen?
I'm on the Threads and the Blue Sky Smart Home Mama is my handle, and that's the main thing. The other thing I'm doing this summer is hosting a few episodes of the Vergecast. So tune in to that. There'll be some smart home themed Vergecast episodes coming up later this summer. And I was actually on the episode that airs today talking about IKEA and Matter, that Friday, because this comes out Monday. So catch up with the last Vergecast episode on Friday for some smart home. And if you want to hear more about my Alexa Plus experiences. But yeah, hope to catch up with you again soon, Andrew, and very excited that the chickens are safe.
Yes. Thank you again for stopping by. Everybody, do what you guys do best. Give this podcast a 5-10-100-star rating on your podcast player of choice. If you want a video version of this, over youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next episode.